My oh my, we had a prank call, we had a free fall, and we had a firing of an agent in the NFL draft. And that's all from one player. Also, time to check in with the Colorado Rockies, see how many wins they have. And we'll tell you about the NBA teams that matter.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots.
Hey, with how insane the Saints and Browns acted drafting quarterbacks in the NFL, why don't we just have a bunch of drunk college frat boys do it?
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome in. Today is April 28th. It is a Monday, so you guessed it. It is time for Sports Idiot Nation, the weekly recap show that comes to you twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. Follow us on all social medias. Follow us all through the Idiotverse. T.I., take us through some of those. Why don't we do some of that today?
Sure. Well, we've got Turtles Idiot Nation. We've got Titans Idiot Nation. We've got Sports Idiot Nation. We've got Wrestling Idiot Nation, Racing Idiot Nation, Gridiron Idiot Nation. Future, we have Rock Idiot Nation. We've got our man Jacob and myself over at Hoops Idiot Nation. And we're just getting started, folks. We've got some more things on the horizon.
Yep.
I'm resurrecting one of my old fantasy football pages and admins to bring a fantasy football world into the Sports Idiot Nation world. We're all going to have a lot of fun with that. So we got a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. So make sure you just type in Idiot Nation on your Facebook, really, and you'll just see about like 10 of them pop up. And I would recommend you hit follow on each of them because it makes me feel good about myself.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the way to do it. Also, the printable link is in the description for all things Sports Idiot Nation. Lots of merches. Lots of new Cam Ward merch for out there. Yes, trying to profit off his not necessarily likeness, but almost likeness. You know, I just tweaked it enough to where almost,
can't be in trouble.
Attaboy.
Satire.
Yeah.
Satire.
Attaboy.
Yeah. So
love that out of you.
Just enough.
So,
just enough.
All right, here's what we got going. Speaking of Cam Ward, we have to get into the draft, and I feel like this could be a 4-hour episode just on the draft. Before we get into the draft, it is time, I just checked, it is time to check in with the Colorado Rockies. And
do we have any circus music? Do we have any like circus music for this intro?
Yeah.
You know.
So, their win total, I don't think has shifted. So
it's parallel. It's still parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's so crazy because their division. I hate to just be a homer and talk about the NL West, but good Lord, when
are they tanking for Arch as well?
Right. I mean, you look at the National League West, and the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres are all like the top 3 teams in baseball. The Diamondbacks are above 500. They aren't no slouch. And then out of 28 games played, I mean, I feel like a T-ball team could accidentally win a game. You know, they have 4 wins out of 28. Your Colorado Rockies.
What about our team that we shot out last week, Tennessee School for the Blind? Do you think they could pull off a couple?
They definitely could. And look, this is why the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres are going to do so well. Throwing the D-backs on top of that, they get to play the Rockies, 15 to 20 times this season. So naturally, they're going to have good years when they get to beat the crap out of it.
Never mind you.
But hey, as a Reds fan, thank you, Colorado, because as of this moment, the Reds are a playoff team. Thankfully, we just got to play in Denver this past few days.
Welcome
so that was an easy sweep. The Red going into that game under 500, it's like, well, we're going to come out of this above 500 in the playoffs at the moment. It's a glorious time when you're playing the Rockies.
Yeah, you love to see it.
Man,
crazy.
What happened to the Rockies, man? Back in the day when they were hitting all those home runs, man, it's like Larry
Walker, Dante Bichette.
Larry, they had like 4 sluggers, man.
Yeah.
They were all crushing it. I know it's high elevation up there, but still.
Well, here's what happened. So it's high elevation, but then they started smoking too high, so that balloon swelled, it popped and deflated. So now the elevation doesn't help them anymore.
And it was like the 90s, so they were probably all doing steroids. So
Right.
Yeah, they just have pot now.
yeah.
So
yeah, well, congratulations to the Rockies. Congratulations to the Rockies. They, and the
Who
White
made the
Sox.
podcast.
Congratulations to the White Sox because they are now no longer, they're last year's Rockies. The Rockies are this year's White Sox. So it's not all that bad for either of them.
So we joke and
wife swap,
and they still don't have 10 wins. The White Sox they're the only two teams to not have double-digit wins. So they're not
of course, we're honoring them on the show.
Yes. Sports Idiot Nation. This is it.
And you said 9 wins. They're almost to their halfway to their win total of last year.
And it's April. What are we doing? Love it.
Mother of God.
Yeah, Mother of God. All right, so Major League Baseball in full swing for most teams.
It's a good pun. It's a good pun. Good pun there.
Very punny.
Full swing.
Yeah, and for most teams, someone let Colorado know there's baseball to be played.
Right. But don't tell Cincinnati. They prefer them to be out of it. Yeah.
I'd like to stay in Colorado.
Yes,
Thanks. Can we get a 13-game series? Not just 3. I want a 13-game series.
Stay high.
And then we'll re-up on that next month.
Hey, our plane broke down. Can we stick around for a couple months?
Is there any way? Yeah.
Look, the emojis thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm thumbs up for that as well.
Here's my thumb up now. It is time for the NFL draft talk because there is so many. First of all, we'll say this. We were texting each other like 13-year-old kids at a sleepover all weekend, jazzed up. It was a great draft overall. First round was fun. You got the multiple phones, Mel Kiper going off. Mel, let me start there. We all know about the slide of Shador. And here's the most boneheaded. There's a lot of boneheadedness that we're going to run through. But here's something that I want to point out. Mel Kiper on his soapbox, on his high horse, explaining how the NFL is clueless on quarterbacks, and then you could pull receipts. He's on a nationally televised program over the last 30 years. It's not like it wasn't recorded, where he's like, oh, Ryan Leaf, all these guys.
Jimmy Clausen isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread. I quit. I'm done.
Yeah.
Paraphrasing, but yes, that is. And so that's why I was calling Shador the Black Jimmy Clausen all weekend, because he said the eventual 5th round pick was a higher rating than the first overall pick.
Just unreal. So, all right, T.I., I want to open with asking you.
Mm-hmm.
We were texting kind of back and forth. The teams that we follow, the 49ers and Titans, honestly, we don't have a lot to poke fun at. They honestly did their thing, and I thought both teams drafted well. What grade would you give the Tennessee Titans?
Oh, man, I don't know if I can give it a grade just yet because, let's be real. God, what do you need? At least 2 years, 3 years to even know if it's worth a damn.
Good point.
On the surface, I think all of our team needs were addressed. I want to say it was inevitable with number 1 pick. We know that. I'm not going to say the number 1 pick was the best player on the board, but he was one of the top 5 best players on the board. So I'm not going to debate whether we should have not taken Cam or not, because I think in our situation, we just had to do that. We had to. Doesn't mean I'm not for it. But with that being said, I think from second round on, I think they were best available picks for the most part, at least in filling our needs. There was not any chasing any hype or stretch. We weren't going after Tulane special returners and stuff like that, trying to be oh, look at that. We struck another Tajay Spears, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully Jaquan Jackson gets it going, but he was very forgettable last year. He had more fumbles than I had, So, but other than that, not talking about last year, we're talking about this year. I feel like we did good. I've read a lot of, analysts that seem to be trusty. I for the most part agree with most of what they say throughout the year, and they all had the Titans with an A. Some of them had an A+ on day 3, which is pretty unheard of for the Titans. Usually on day 3, we're just out there throwing darts at stuff, and I feel like they nailed the 4th round. Well, I take that back. as long as it works out, they nailed the 4th round because, I mean, to get two viable wide receiver threats and a tight end all in the same round, that's pretty unheard of. So if those guys pan out and we're looking at them as starters in a few years and they're producing, we're going to look back on that 4th round and be like, the Bergonzi scheme was in full effect right there, because he was willing to do a little bit, trading around. So overall, I'm happy. We have a lot of needs. So one draft isn't going to fix our dumpster fire floating down the river,
Yeah.
A lot more work there. But overall, I will crack this beer here for Mr. Mike Bergonzi.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you, sir. You made it through the first draft unscathed. We'll see how it pans out for the rest of the years. We were all hype on Rand Carthon the first year too, and that faded quickly. John Robinson, we loved him. We trusted him for a few years until he traded away all our best players. So,
attaboy, fellow idiot. Miles, I want to ask you the overview of the draft. A couple things stuck out to me randomly. I want to get your thoughts. Atlanta not screwing the pooch and actually participating in this year's draft with like a formidable opponent. And then Pittsburgh, what interested me about Pittsburgh was the route that they took, and with not drafting a quarterback and things like that. And just as an overview, what did you think of the draft?
So before I jump into what we discuss, I do want to touch on the internals here real quick. Adam, you and I have to discuss the fact that we're trading players back and forth from college to pro. Titans get a Bruin, you get 2 Hoosiers. So we know both teams had A drafts. So we'll leave it at that for those teams. We'll get in more my Stanford boy and why I'm pumped for Alec to be in Toontoe Blue. But to touch on Atlanta first, I wanted them so badly to draft Shador just because I thought that would have been funny if they drafted another quarterback when they had no business doing so. But obviously they honed in on the D.
Kirk Cousins left the chat.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins left the chat.
Now, that's so funny you bring up Kirk Cousins because that was another thing I wanted to have pop up after Atlanta drafted him was Minnesota to trade for a quarterback and it be Kirk Cousins. Now they ended up doing it and they ended up getting Sam Howell, but that was what I was really wishing for was Atlanta for whatever reason, just because Shador was sliding so hard so fast, that they would just go ahead, we'll just draft him. We're going to offload this and pay, back half over 50% of Kirk Cousins' salary just to ship him back to Minnesota. That would have been fun for me. Didn't happen.
That would be the first time.
Having some sense.
That would be the first time in his entire life that he actually cussed. Kirk Cousins has been like,
it's too cold. He's still getting his money. He'll survive. But Atlanta actually looks like it wants to compete for an NFC South title, which to me is mind-boggling, not just for Atlanta, because I don't think New Orleans, we sure know from this draft, they don't want to. Carolina's Carolina, and Tampa just kind of backs their way into a division title here and there since Tom Brady. So it's like the fact that one of the 4 teams actually has intent to win the division, that's cool. Shout out to Jay Tubbs for that. You have a team that's actually viable now. The Steelers, of course, we were talking about that throughout, and the fact that they continue to get those hard-nosed blue-collar defenders in the mid rounds just pisses me off. And it's guys from schools like Ohio State that I absolutely hate, and guys that are home wreckers, and they go to another team I despise in Pittsburgh. So it just tracks. They're continuing to do what they're doing, and Pittsburgh is too smart to draft a player like Shador or draft really any of the quarterbacks that they expect to be a potential future starter in the league. Because, they waited till, what was that, the 6th round? They ended up getting Howard. I always get McCord and Howard because they're both Ohio State quarterbacks, but it was McCord to Philly and Howard to Pittsburgh, right? So in any case, with Howard going there, like he's your future 3rd string quarterback. Who cares that he's not going to be there as your potential starter? He's just, a void filler once you actually do have those gaps after the 2025 season. So seeing Atlanta actually act like Pittsburgh does traditionally is probably going to set them up for success in the division. So those 2 teams, they did what they needed to do. And I think we didn't have a lot of teams that were just kind of like, in the draft. Teams either did really well or they did really, really bad.
So you were talking about Will Howard there about being a future 3rd string quarterback, but the guy with the Sharpie beard, told me that he was the best quarterback in the draft.
I'm sure he feels so.
So are you telling me that Ryan
still is
Day
the
is
only-
blowing smoke? Ryan Day would be blowing smoke? He wouldn't do that.
Oh, no. Ryan Day is the most trustworthy, honorable man to ever coach a college football game of all time. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh's glaring choices there in the draft makes me think that they still are clinging to that Rodgers hope, because, there's two things there. There's also, because you have old Arthur still there. And there was already links of Tannehill to Minnesota, so you had that possible weird scenario too. Like Tannehill could pop up at Pittsburgh too. You just never know.
I still don't understand why he's not on an NFL roster. I really don't.
I think he's doing the Aaron Rodgers thing. He's just like, I don't want to show up to camp. I don't want to do all that. I'm just going to wait until right at the end and get in there and do my thing and learn the offense and do the reps. Because the right situation. He's proven that he can put up some numbers.
He'll be a Cleveland Brown by July.
Right.
Cleveland. I mean, they only have like 12 quarterbacks at the moment. I feel like a baker's dozen is really the way to go in the modern day NFL.
Yeah, we'll get into...
Just add to the jersey that has all the last names.
Yeah,
just add to the list.
We'll get into...
Like a scroll.
Right, they're going to have to scroll through a Rolodex. We'll get into...
It's like in Looney Tunes when Bugs Bunny's like, here, you want to see all my kids? And it's like, the wallet, fuck of the babies. All right, we can...
We'll get into...
No more examples.
Yeah.
No more examples.
We'll get into Cleveland, but I want to also point out a couple teams that stood out for me was Cincinnati and New England. Here's the thing with Cincinnati. They started picking
New England did great.
Yeah, Cincinnati started picking up some pretty good defensive players, and it made me wonder, they are going to ruin them, and they're just going to be out there on an island making plays and still give up 42 points, or they really have some coaches in there that will know what they're doing, and maybe Cincinnati can give some Joe Burrow a little bit of like breathing room. I like who they drafted though.
It's strange to me that a team that lost multiple football games by scoring 60 points or more would actually draft defensive players in the draft. It's very strange.
First team in NFL history. They were the first team in the NFL history to score 100 points in a game and lose.
So that's all they have to do is draft a couple people on defense and go from averaging like 42 points given up a game down to just 38, and they're going to win like 12 games. So if as long as they're semi-viable, they're going to be in good shape.
They got a shot.
That's true. It is true.
So yeah, we'll see. T.I., you mentioned you thought New England. I think with Vrabel there, obviously he's your guy, but I thought they did pretty well too.
It's not my guy. Not my guy. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but I mean, he did lose like 13 of the last 17 games or something.
But they were not very good.
I wasn't out there trying to save his job or anything.
They are divorced, but it was a cordial split. It was a 50-50 divorce.
There you go. Yeah,
but
good.
Yeah, but I feel I feel like they did well there. Got a few weapons for Drake. Got some defensive pieces. We know Mike Vrabel is pretty hard nosed, like you said. There's all came out a couple weeks ago where he's like, know this, know that, no breathing, looking at each other, no using each other's middle names ever, just a bunch of weird shit,
Yeah.
That's why divorces happen.
Which shows another reason why a lot of folks were like, well, Mike Vrabel's no fun, so, I mean, shows why him and A.J. Brown probably,
And that's when the kids come back from him after the weekend. They prefer to be back home with mom.
Yeah. So I thought New England did good. I mean, I would have expected them to do good, I agree. I agree with Atlanta. I had Atlanta kind of penciled in. It's one to talk about for sure. So.
Yeah. No, and I think that was something that they want to change a course. But I think if you see 2 years from now that they still are mundane defensively, then they just got to clear house. I think ownership on down. Now, of course, for certain reasons why I'm anti-Arthur Blank, I'll leave that to me, myself, and I. But I think now or never for Atlanta. They've got to make a move because they've been dormant since Super Bowl 51 and the Matty Ice collapse. It's now or never.
You gotta watch what you say about Arthur Blank. He's got mob ties. I mean, you see the way that dude dresses. So he's like a living, breathing Dick Tracy villain.
Cannot confirm nor deny. Certainly cannot deny.
Yeah. Al Pacino. I think Al Pacino got nominated for an Oscar for that. I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember, but I think he did. Weirdly, it was a weird time.
I was too busy paying attention to Breathless Mahoney, so I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, Breathless Mahoney.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. My little brother at the time when that movie came out, so he would have been probably like much young. Way younger than me, obviously, at that time, because I was still a kid. But he had Dick Tracy bed sheets, I remember, and like she was like all over him, and I thought, what a weird thing for like. It was like him, it's like Dick Tracy and her, and like maybe like Al Pacino, and it was like patterned out. But I was just like, these are for like 6 to like 8-year-old boys. Like, what is this? Very weird, very weird. Anyway,
yeah,
moving on.
No. To end on Dick Tracy, I didn't know Miles as a child, but Miles to me as a child would remind me of that kid. When do we eat? Like every scene, he's like, when do we eat? He's just the kid. Like, I don't know why. It just seems like Miles would be that kid.
We still got plenty of tapes. Let's go to the tape. Check the tape, and we'll find out. Either way. So T.I., I want to know who was your favorite. What was your favorite selection for Tennessee in this draft?
Favorite selection for Tennessee, man. Honestly, I'm thinking it's the bruiser, the Slater kid, man. I don't know. Like, I just have this good feeling about him. I mean, Sacramento State out here playing some mediocre opponents, goes out here, Senior Bowl out there putting it to work. Some of these guys
they are making that transition to FBS.
For sure.
So eventually he's going to be cheering for his Hornets in the 12-team playoff, or by then it'll probably be like a 68 team playoff.
He's my favorite right now. Just I like it, like every picture I look up at him. I'm Google online, like to use social media. It's like there's one where he's just looking like, I'm gonna eat this entire buffet, and then there's like another one where he's just like sitting next to this tree, like it's like a college, like it's a senior photo from 1997, because I have one of those where I'm leaning against a tree, and it just cracks me up. Like that's like his college photo and stuff. So I'm just kind of like, this dude right here might be the diamond in the rough, because he doesn't have to come in to be a savior on the line. He gets to come in and be like, all right, I can prove myself. So I like that kid.
You were totally rocking that puka shell necklace in that photo, leaning up against the tree, weren't you?
Yeah, man. Sun
you had gel tips.
Had sun in my hair. Sun in my hair. I was like,
I see that.
I was like, bro, I've been talking to your girl on AOL chat all day.
That's what's up. Yeah, I feel that.
I like him, and I like the Gunnar Helm. I like the tight end from Texas, just because I just feel like we are still lacking in that department. I mean, I'm not knocking Chick. I think he's fast. He's got bricks for hands, though.
He's got McConaughey's stamp of approval. So
and
we know he's got to be in that business. He's about that business.
Maybe he makes Matthew McConaughey become a Titans fan, and that would be all right.
He is welcome. Bring that cowboy hat back. Yeah, because Vrabel can't wear that cowboy hat there anymore. It's got to be someone. Why not McConaughey?
Say, Matthew, you're gonna start rooting for the Titans. Be a lot cooler if you did.
Hell yeah, damn straight. So
I like both those picks. I like both those. Yeah. Oh, of course.
And then I went with Alec. I think the number one reason for it is the fact that going back to 2023, when Stanford beat Colorado, was like 46-43, and he lit up Travis Hunter for 300 yards and 3 TDs, and now he gets to see him twice a year when they play Jacksonville. I cannot wait for that. That dude is now. I don't think Travis Hunter's having nightmares. I think he just wears Alec Mayor pajamas to bed, because he's his idol now.
He does.
He's his idol. We know it.
His bed sheets. He's got his bed sheets.
So
now that he's a Jack, we certified bedwetter, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Since when have we been so excited of IU football? Where now it's like the CJ West. Seriously, no joke. I am excited because you can never have too many defensive linemen, and that guy's above average. He's not just like some guy out there. It's kind of crazy.
Bang, bang, who's your gang?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all
Who's
it takes,
your
man.
gang?
Yeah.
Who's your gang? Bang, bang, who's your gang?
That's right. Sometimes all it takes just need like two players, game changers, Like sometimes in free agency, I think back in the day, the Knicks, when they got like Larry Johnson and Allen Houston, man, changed the game.
Could you imagine what Curtis Rourke would have done with a healthy knee this year?
Oh,
I mean, the dude, tough, ain't even come close to describe that kid.
well, I wonder if he makes it to be the number 2, and they push Mac Jones.
Hey, 7th round draft picks at quarterback doing all right for the Niners so far.
Exactly.
So why not do it again?
That's right.
The Maple Missile now in San Fran.
Are you not ecstatic about Mac Jones? I thought you'd be excited about him.
This is my ecstatic face.
That's a former rookie of the year, former offensive rookie of the year, Adam. Those don't just fall off the trees. Those are generational talents.
Hey, that guy had a hell of a run in the Pro Bowl. Man, he really zigged and zagged on that one play.
It's almost like Bill Belichick knows how to hide quarterback deficiencies somehow. Weird.
Right.
Like
he
didn't do it with Matt Castle or any of these other jokers behind Tom Brady.
Jimmy G.
Wasn't that the last Pro Bowl in pads? And I think after that Mac Jones runs, they're like, we got to shut it down. It's not going to get any better than this. We're going to flag football.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he was like completely wrapped up. Though. Oh man,
he was in Jacksonville. Everything we mentioned about the house arrest and sleeping in urinated bed sheets, like if he's been through that, he's going to do just fine in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, he's developed some thick skin and a couple unpronounceable diseases.
So T.I. mentioned Larry Johnson and got me thinking NBA because we'll get back to Cleveland in a little bit, but I want to shift to basketball as Cleveland is still playing basketball. Shout out to them.
They are the reason.
Yeah, they have their feet kicked up by the pool right now, sipping a Mai Tai because they handed Miami their worst loss in playoff history.
Yeah, franchise history.
Yeah.
So
to go up 3-0.
Here's the thing. The NBA playoffs have shaped up this way. Super, super, super amazing for 49% of the playoffs. The other 51 will not make this show. We're not even gonna bring it up. So here's
lack of interest.
Yeah, I'm still irritated that you're making us record why the Pacers game's on. I mean, I'm really wanting to watch the Pacers Bucks.
So here are the following teams that are going to be played out kind of like in memoriam. Like I'm going to say them, and that'll be the only mention of them as if like they died. Okay, so the teams,
John Morant did die. John Morant died on the court. I saw him.
And ESPN tried to get a shot of him, and he put his hand out like this.
Don't say shot. Don't say shot.
Yeah. Well,
stop.
He put his hand like this, and instantly they just got another camera angle to get him, and now his hand is just like this. He looking like an idiot.
What if his other hand's like this? And he's like his feet. He's using his feet.
What he should have done.
His feet up. He's like,
call me crazy, but
couldn't he done pistol fingers?
Couldn't he just done this?
Peekaboo. I do that a lot these days with my daughter.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny. He's going like this, and they just pull another camera angle.
Dude, this is how like ridiculously biased the media are against the small teams, especially like the Titans and Grizzlies. We see it all the time, but like on all the games, right? On the app, the ESPN app, they give there's like a header, then there's a little recap of it, and then it clicks to a story about the game, right? They didn't even do one for the Grizzlies. There wasn't
the
one.
Grizzlies are done.
I thought like, I know, but they still recap all the games.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just like they didn't even.
Like-
there's not even one. And
Well,
I was
why
like,
bothers?
well, maybe it's just not on there yet. I'll check again.
Maybe
in the
it's
morning.
not on
Nope.
there yet. Yeah,
I checked again a little later. Nope,
That's-
still not there.
that's
I'm
cute.
like,
That's cute.
because
We had a buffering issue. We just
I
decided
was
to do away with
gone.
it.
I was gone yesterday, so I didn't see the game, and I just saw the score, and I was like, well, crap, they only lost by 2. Didn't have Ja, and Scottie Pippen Jr. had 30 points. I was like, I want to read what the hell happened. And
Too bad.
You just told us. You just
ESPN
told
You
us.
just told us what
It's
happened.
not-
That was it. Yeah.
yeah, ESPN is not think it's important to let me know.
That is so
Um,
funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm serious. I'm like, they do a recap of every damn hockey game.
This
and I'm
is
just
why
like,
Ti.
there's a
they didn't-
recap of like volleyball on there, and I'm just like, you can't recap an NBA playoff game?
They didn't need to because they knew Ti on this Sincast that you would do it for us.
ESPN fired.
So,
Get out of here, ESPN.
Here are the following teams.
I would say ESPN's Idiot of the Week, but I feel like Miles is a better choice for that.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll check in.
we'll make it more universal and objective here on ITOW.
Thank you.
But anyway, yeah, it's Grizzlies. They got swept. You know, I feel like they were ready to. I mean, I feel like they were ready to at least maybe even tie the series up, make it fun. But Ja
They
got
probably
hurt.
would have.
I feel like they
probably would have.
Ja got hurt, and then here we are. You know, but that's
So-
one thing that bugs me though, because like if you tell an average NBA watcher from LA or a big market, right? Like they just see the tidbits and they're like, "Oh, Grizzlies got swept," and it's like you probably don't even know Ja got hurt, you know. So it's like to me, like the box score doesn't really tell the picture, and it kind of sucks. I was hoping
After
for
losing
better.
game
better-
1 by 95.
Yeah. Ugh. So, and I feel like they were on route to maybe beat OKC by 50 in game 3, you know, like that could have been a nice little, like, all right, you beat us by 50. We're going to beat you by 50. That'd have been a great story, you know, but instead I'm not going to say it was dirty, but man, that guy didn't have to do this little, like, and Ja didn't have to try to go up and dunk on him because they were up by 30. Like, you could have just stutter stepped and just went around him and laid it up. But what it is, man,
So
you know.
I would like to say that I feel your pain, except for we still won without our guy. So because we have Chef
Still
Curry.
got a lot to go though. Still got a lot to go.
Yeah, and we still need Jimmy Butler, but same kind of thing. Jimmy Butler was out, and man, some inspired basketball by the Warriors, which we'll get into. But I still need to read off in memoriam the following teams that will not make mention in the rest of this podcast. So here we go.
Cue the music, Ti.
Yeah, yeah. So it is.
In the arms of an angel.
This is the second
We
time that
don't
song's been on this
care
episode.
at all. All right, so it is.
Nothing really matters. Anyone can see. These teams don't really matter to me.
Yeah, to anyone. All right, here we go. So it is Cleveland and Miami, Boston and Orlando, New York and Detroit, and Indiana and Milwaukee. Oh my, that's the entire oops, that's the entire Eastern Conference. We don't care. Okay? Also, no more mention in this podcast of Oklahoma City and Memphis. And that's it. So the rest of the teams were good. That leaves us 3 series to get into, down and dirty. Here we go. So first, let's get into Nuggets Clippers. I want to ask Miles, what's your take on how the referees that shot by Joker, you know, airball, that truly was unbelievable. Like, even when you see it in slow motion, you're still looking around at your buddies like, wait, is that legit? It could go as slow motion as possible. You still don't know. That was incredible.
I swear to God, the ball was in his hands when I watched that live. And like every angle you watch, another time it's like, you know, the term gaslighting that gets way overused these days by people in their 20s and 30s. That like is a gaslighting moment for yourself. Just sitting alone in a dark room with just a TV and watch that over like 10,000 times from 400 different angles. You don't know what reality is. Like the Mandela effect. Like 10 years from now, we'll go back and be like, oh, you remember that the Aaron Gordon dunk that didn't count? And you're like, no, but it did count. No, it didn't count. And you're like, oh, it didn't count. Like that's the whole thing where the universal mind control things
Yeah.
happen. It's in moments like that because I watch it, no matter how slow, like you said, I don't know. And because I want the Nuggets to win the series, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like Miles has it broken down. It's kind of like he's like a JFK like conspiracy type breakdown. He's like, was there a second shooter?
They're
What's
playing
the trajectory?
4D chess with us.
Yeah, I'm pretty
And
sure
this is how they get to us. They're distracting us with a mediocre series. Neither team's going to make the NBA Finals, and the series is tied at 2 in the first round. They're going to distract us with this when some other bigger things are going on.
Brian James going to come from behind and take us over. Yeah, man. I mean, I again didn't get to see the game, so I had to see the highlights. It's pretty crazy. It's not a lot of controversy behind it at all. It seems to be pretty legit. I'm sure Clipper fans are crying, but as Miles said, Nuggets fans are rejoicing. So somebody's got to lose.
Remember that San Antonio Lakers Derek Fisher hit from an inbounds pass, wasn't it? And he just threw it up, and it was. Now since then they have the rule that now it's a scientific thing that if it's, what is it, Miles, like 0.4?
0.4 has to be at least 0.4 for you to be able to catch and shoot.
Yeah, and that, I feel like that's the Derek Fisher rule. Like that wasn't necessarily, remember, was it sports science, like all that, and like they slowed it down and like really dissected it, but that play from Aaron Gordon supersedes that. Like that's the new play that everyone will talk about. It was insane.
Some people take it too far. Like you always remember like the St. Olaf, like the D3 school that had the tip in at the buzzer and they're waving it off. And it's like moments like, no, that needs to count. And then you have moments like the Nuggets and Clippers where it's like, no, just whatever. Just let it go. The call on the court stands. Okay, fine. And just walk away.
Such a great series. I mean, it's Kawhi Leonard. Like you think of Ken Griffey Jr. and Grant Hill. Like definitely Kawhi Leonard is the Kawhi Leonard of basketball. Can you imagine if Kawhi Leonard would be healthy? Because the way he takes over, it is, I have to admit, it is fun to watch him play. And the Clippers showed like they're formidable. And I can't believe I'm saying this. James Harden, like, okay, he's not trash. Like, is that a good thing to say, I guess?
I mean, he used to score like 60 points a game, but I mean, he didn't play any defense, but I mean, he's good. It's like that old meme. There's one of those memes where it's like, God, how many points he scored? I don't know. I think there was one night where he had like 70 points or something, but he also had like 7 assists or something. And there was a meme with Kobe, and Kobe was like, 7 assists, could have had 14 more points. So
that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So I mean, he's always been a scorer. He just doesn't ever play defense. But
and in the playoffs, he's choked a ton is my thing. And there's important games where he hasn't shown up. And I'm looking here. One game he had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and shot 6 of 14. Not great. 3-pointers was 3 for 8, but it wasn't like, I mean, he's gone 2 for 20. I remember against the Warriors when he was with the Rockets, he just shrunk. And there was games with the 76ers, he was just really bad. And he hasn't been really bad. He's been like, okay, he's not sucking. Like, okay, James, getting older.
Ask him out on a date. Ask him out on a date or something. Maybe he'll be receptive. I don't know. You seem to like him.
Obliged.
Yeah. You guys have a lot in common. You both like basketball.
We both like basketball, yeah. No, I'm just saying I'm accustomed to saying like that James Harden really sucks. And here I'm saying like he didn't actually all the way suck. Like, hey, wow. I'm not even mad.
This is exactly why people tune into our show, for genius insight
Hot
like
takes.
that.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I'm usually saying James Harden sucks, but right now I'm not saying he sucks. So
yeah, he's just okay.
Take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, take it how you like it.
MAP, most average player.
Give Pat McAfee, Joe Rogan, sit your asses down. There's a new sheriff in town. Adam Marino. Adam Marino.
Have some. He did have, in the game before that, he had 18 points. So, just saying, like, okay, it's not complete trash.
It's not bad. How many points does Beard have?
Yeah. What lives inside that thing? I don't want to know. Okay,
so
let's shift to Lakers and Timberwolves. It's got some good intrigue to it. The game that was just yesterday, that game was we were talking before the show, like, 11 or 12-0 run to start the second half, and you feel like, okay, Lakers running away with this one, and then they Lakered it, I guess. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, Luka did his thing. LeBron.
Luka can only carry LeBron for so long, you know?
Apparently
LeBron
not.
He's trying to propel him to the top of the GOAT conversation. It's not working.
You know, you got Austin Reeves. You know?
I will say, though, I am now one game away from putting underwear on my head on the Sincast, because I was saying there ain't no way Minnesota's winning this series. Now, they could do what the Warriors did a few years ago and blow that 3-1 lead against LeBron, but there is a mountain to climb right now.
Yeah. I still have a friend of mine.
Julius Randle is destined to be Finals MVP this year, apparently.
I still have a friend of mine who owes me a video of him doing 100 push-ups wearing a LeBron jersey.
Oh, because
I told him that the Warriors. He's a big. He was a good shooter. He's a great shooter. He's a basketball dude. He played in our high school team. He's a big Vanderbilt fan, so he loves just 3-point shooters. Man,
those exist.
Yeah, but shout out to Tommy. Shout out to old Tommy. But I told him, I was like, man, they're going to come back. Warriors going to blow this. He's like, yeah, right. He's like, I'll do. I said, all right. So I'll do push-ups or something. I said, all right, I'll go buy you a LeBron jersey and you got to wear it. He's like, all right. But it never happened. Tommy, you got to come through with that, man.
Video or it didn't happen. Yeah.
Did you buy him Did you buy him the LeBron jersey though?
No, but I told him I would just to get the video. You know,
okay. I was going to say, because if you didn't even do it, the joke's on you then, man.
Yeah, joke's on for sure. I wouldn't buy. It would be a Walmart LeBron jersey. I wouldn't buy a real one.
Get the China one where it's spelled like ELRBON or
like I never knew LeBron played for the.
No, it's supposed to say but it's supposed to say James on the back. No.
Yeah, I sent it to Tommy's house. Tommy's like, I never knew LeBron James played for the Jazz. What's up with this?
Yeah.
But yeah, great series so far, at least for Wolves fans.
Yeah, they look to close it out later in the week, but I think it will go at least to game 6.
Yeah, I mean, Lakers could do it. They could come back. They could force the game 7. I mean, we know they could. We've seen teams there before. We'll see if not Cat, but Ant is ready to take that next step, close out the GOAT. I mean, if you can close out Luka and the GOAT, that notches your resume up a little bit for your face of the league resume, So
no kidding.
Hey, Minnesota's been through it. They went through it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they are allowed.
Yeah. So this brings me to what we talked about a while ago. Is Golden State smarter than we even anticipated? Because did they on purpose lose that game in order to get Houston? Because it looks like they're in their head, because not just Draymond, but like, I just feel like with those young players that even without Jimmy, I just didn't think, and they were down in the first half, and it just looked like, well, maybe they just don't have it. And then whoops. I mean, I was out of my seat cheering by the fourth quarter when they got the steal, threw it to Gary Payton, he reverse dunked it, and the crowd. I mean, it's in California, so everyone's going crazy. I mean, what a game! I really couldn't believe it. And now they literally stole home court advantage now, and they're up 2-1. Jimmy won't be out for too terribly long, is the hope, and so he'll come back and give good minutes. I do like that Kuminga. All of a sudden, there's a human named Jonathan Kuminga, allegedly.
I've seen him play. He is not a human. He is a
pogo stick.
I was going to say he's an entity on a pogo stick.
Yeah,
it's Australian. Kuminga is an entity on a pogo stick.
Maybe Kuminga ate your baby.
Real quick.
No, that's actually a character on Bluey.
There you
Kuminga.
go. So before you go any further there, Adam, with this, you mentioned Gary Payton Jr. And earlier I was driving, and I was listening to him recapping the games from yesterday, and they're talking about Tim Hardaway Jr. And here's a Grizzly fan. I'm watching Scottie Pippen Jr. And begs the question for our viewers at home: do you feel old yet? Because I know I do. Because holy cow,
Does your back hurt?
Seeing all these not only stars, sons, not just people that play in the NBA, but superstars, kids, not all they're not superstars, but man, they're great role players. They produce. They are viable roster pieces. I don't know, man. It's pretty cool to see. You don't always really see that, as we have seen with Bronny and Jordan's kids. Now we know Bron's other kid is ready to ball, and we all think that he actually is really going to do something. But other than that, it's just kind of cool to see these offsprings doing their thing. So shout out to the young legends out there, young offsprings of legends. I'm not going to say Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to be the next legend because that ain't happening. But he's a great player.
Yeah, he dropped 30. Gary Payton hit that three in the corner. That was a huge shot for us because he is not. It is well documented. Gary Payton is not a good 3-point shooter. I prefer him to no, please pass the ball. And when he hits threes, it's oh my, because the defense he gives you is unbelievable. And then you got Draymond playing defense, Kuminga, Jimmy Butler when he's back. So it's I'm super excited. And now you look at if I'm not, knock on wood, not going to say they're going to advance. It's only 2-1. But you look at what they've done, knocking out the number 2, and it's okay, maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe they knew what they were doing and seeded themselves so that they could take on Houston, who's just looked at as, yeah, they're good for sure. Look at their record, but they're young. They're not battle-tested. Their battle-tested players are not they don't have the sign of the dragon or anything crazy. It's Fred VanVleet. Yes, you could say he's battle-tested. Yes, he was on the Raptors that won. But good Lord, it's still Fred VanVleet. It's not you know what I mean? It's not anyone crazy. And then your boy, Dylan Brooks.
It's not quite.
Right. Fred VanVleet sounds like a jewelry salesman.
Now, I do have a question about Gary
Fred
Payton.
Van
If his
Fleet's
father's the glove, is he called the mitten?
Actually, someone has said something like that. I've
glove
heard
in a box.
Yeah.
Glove box.
I was going to say, otherwise you could suggest it.
Yeah, why not, man? Throw it out there.
Love that dude.
See the sticks.
Lefty swag.
Yeah. Now, look, I brought up that conspiracy the other week, and no, I don't actually believe that because going into the play-in, there's too many factors. Not just the fact that you could lose the game, which that game was competitive against Memphis. You get injuries, you don't get the rest. Those guys are aged. All things we discuss. So no, I don't believe that. And even if they do win this series, you still have to advance to play another good team. And then if you advance, you have to play a good team after that. Because inevitably, what are you trying to do? You're trying to win a championship. You have to play great teams regardless of the path you take. This isn't, high school basketball where it's hey, I hope we get a good drawing. You're playing other professionals. Yeah,
if you're in the East.
They're not. But they're not. That wasn't going to change. Them winning that game didn't get them slotted into the Eastern Conference bracket. They were still going to have to go through the West.
Now that's the NBA I'd watch.
that would be funny. Tank to play, not for a draft pick. Tank to play in the Eastern Conference. That's good. I like that. That's
we're going to take the worst team in the Western Conference and we're going to move them to the East so they become one of the top 5 teams.
Basically, it's basically like getting relegated in the EPL, but you still get to play at the top level. You get rewarded for sucking. Then that's better than Cooper Flag. Hell, I'd take that. So I don't think they did, but the fact that they did end up as the 7th seed, and not only are they going to win this series against the Rockets, which I truly believe, now you get a chance to probably play against Minnesota. Yeah, if your boys don't make the Western Conference Finals, at least y'all effed up, Adam.
I mean, it would be crazy to think that if we can
Especially
play
you,
Minnesota.
Adam.
Yeah, it would be on me personally, for sure.
You missed the shot.
Yeah.
You missed the shot. You missed the free throw. That one free throw you missed.
It's all your fault.
Well, I miss 100% of the shots that I didn't take. And so...
But Adam, great rebound.
That's right.
Miles knows that.
Don't worry about not taking the shots.
Yeah. Proud of you. All right, so a reminder to follow on social media, wherever you get your social media, Sports Idiot Nation. Also, the link is in the description. It's in the show notes to get a fancy schmancy mug like this. All of our gear, of course, TI's, all of his Cam Ward stuff. I happened to catch all that stuff. It's super, super, super cool.
Mayday! Mayday! Cover your brains, boys and girls. Put on your tinfoil hats, because this is Idiot of the Week.
All right, you idiots and sinners. Idiot of the Week. None other than the pesky little Jax Ulbrich, the wicked smart Old Miss student that decided to hack his dad's iPad. His father, being the one and only defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons, had a couple numbers in there, guys he might want to talk to, or at least his staff and organization talk to, because he wants them on their team. Well, this guy wants all the quarterbacks he can get on his team. Must be the Cleveland Browns. Nope. He is calling on behalf of Loomis of the New Orleans Saints, which actually would have been a better decision to call up Shador Sanders and draft to the team. The prank seemed funny at first, not going over so well. The NFL now investigating the entire Ulbrich family, the entire Atlanta organization, for how this hack happened. I mean, it's pretty clear and pretty simple how it did happen. Drunk kid thinks it's funny with his frat boys to pull pranks. Nah, man, you're just hurting some feelings. I think the most hurt feelings here, though, is just being drafted as the second quarterback, make it the 5th overall quarterback to the Cleveland Browns. That hurt my soul, too. But Jax and your boys, use the idiot of the week.
We gotta dissect this. So here's what happened. Jeff Ulbrich, number 53 on your program for the 49ers, number 1 in your heart, by the way.
No, number 0.
So yeah. So then goes on to the Jets, and that's a debacle. And now he's with the Falcons. His punk son gets a hold of the iPad to see the number, which now it's starting to get released that he's not only is he not the only one, which is crazy, but these phones are like given out only to the players, and it's for the draft and all this. And so you've seen it by now, the call where Shador is thoroughly confused, and he's the family's like all there, the mom or whoever is there, the auntie, someone hands him the phone, and they're like, okay. And then he's like, it's so funny. They said I have to wait. Like, he's so confused. That part I get is like, okay, funny at the time. And if the kid we never would have got his name or whatever, it just would have been done. But it can't be from an employee of the NFL on another team in which he's not even impersonating that team. Like, it's like, dude, okay, you just can't do that and think that it's all going to be good. And then Stefanski gets a hold of the story and says some guys are just morons. And he says it with a straight face as, T.I., why don't you give us the update on the quarterback room of the one Cleveland Browns? Go ahead.
They have 18 quarterbacks, and Joe Flacco is the best one. Does that sum it up?
I suppose. So
no, they have small hands Kenny Pickett. They have Joe Flacco. They have a massage enthusiast in Deshaun Watson. They then drafted, another
Dylan
joker
Gabriel
from Oregon, before Sanders, and then they drafted Sanders. I feel like at that point they're just like feeling bad for Sanders. I don't know. Like, I'm like, so, why? What is this? It's 5. Like, it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dylon.
Like, but
no, the fourth one's Dylon.
I spit hot fire.
Yeah.
Browns spit hot fire. But yeah.
So this is what I want to see. What does a 5 quarterback formation look like?
It's kind of like
because all 5 of these guys think they should be on the field.
Yeah, it's like a 3-headed dragon, but there's like 2 more of them. So I'm just picturing this offense right now. Like, okay, so At this point, out of those 5, running back is definitely Shador. Okay, running back is Shador. Flacco is lining up center.
Deshaun's splitting out.
Deshaun is slippery. He's the slippery guy. He's got oil all over him.
Exactly.
He's got oil all over him.
He's
Very slippery.
probably
and
in the slot,
shifty, and you just can't. You can't really like pinpoint what he's about to do. When you think you got him, he just slips, and there's another accusation comes out, and So he's in the slot.
End.
So he's in the slot. Who's the tight end?
Kenny.
He
might
with
have
one hand.
Yeah, but one hand. That makes sense.
He's got to use that hand. He's got to Odell Beckham everything. And then Gabriel. Gabriel's the wild card. So where's Gabriel?
H-back.
Well, that's when they go. Yeah. But if they go single wing, they're going to bring back the single wing because that's very blue collar and it's very Cleveland.
Maybe when they run the Wildcat.
Yeah, it's very Cleveland.
Maybe when Cleveland runs the Wildcat,
it's a mistake.
They shift. That's what they do. They're going to shift Gabriel to running back, and when they're running the Wildcat, and Sanders is going to run the option.
Yes, and they're going to run it by the.
Fuck, man, this is really complicated to figure out, guys.
It's a factory.
We shouldn't do this. This is a mistake.
I feel bad for Cleveland.
Now that you think about it, this was a mistake.
Yeah.
We need to get.
And their fans aren't used to it. They're not used to a terrible football team or anything.
No.
How are they going to handle this?
So here's
Come and look at both of our buildings.
Here's what I think about Myles Garrett was interviewed and said, "I know what the plan is, and I'm excited
for it. We got a plan."
And
the plan, hopefully, to God, better be Aaron Rodgers. They're screwed. Because you can't tell me that they went to Myles Garrett and said, "All right, we'll give you all the money that you're asking for. We will take care of that, so you don't make more anywhere else. But here's really where we're going to get you in the heartstrings, Myles Garrett. We're going to make sure that first of all, we bring back from a couple of times ago, Joe Flacco. That's first." All right, I'm listening. Keep going. You got me kind of excited. Not going to lie. That was a pretty good first one. That's a pretty good. What
else
you throwing in?
All right. Well, then remember the guy in our own division that we were never scared of? Like if we played him?
You're kind of breaking up on me a little bit. Breaking up on here. Kind of going to have to bring me back. Going to reel me back in.
All right.
Reel me back in. You're kind of losing me.
Well, all right. Well, after that guy, he's there just for backup. Then what we're going to do is the guy who we paid all this money to, which is why we can barely afford you, to be honest. We're going to make sure that we lock him down and that he can just have all the massages that he can handle. You're welcome to some of them. Okay, I guess I'm in for that. What else you got? Well, we do have a random guy who was not on many people's boards, but he was on ours.
Comedy, pop culture, and everything in between.
Then we'll take Deion
By
Sanders'
idiots,
son.
for
I'd love
idiots.
to meet Deion.
Welcome,
sold.
sinners.
That was the conversation.
Idiot
what?
No, at that point, he was right when they said Gabriel. At that point he was like, "Fuck it, I'll play quarterback," and they were like, "But there's more. There's more." If you call us right now, we'll throw in Deion Sanders' son.
Recording episode where Randy Marsh can't throw things out. And he's like, "Well, no, I gotta have that. You can't throw that out." It's like
quarterbacks.
Let's be honest. We've all in Madden have had like 6 or 7 quarterbacks on our roster at one point. We ended up trading away more than half of them, but you've all loaded up on quarterbacks that all believe they should be a starter. Like, this is what Andrew Berry's doing right now. He's like, I'm going to live out my Madden fantasy because Cleveland ain't win a Super Bowl anyway.
Well, they were created quarterbacks. I had a created quarterback. He was hard to stop. His name was Dix Humongous, and he was impossible to stop, you know? He just kept coming, you know?
He was hard to bring down, I'm sure.
We have derailed in the best way, in a fantastic way. The best way. All right. So, reminder, every Monday and Thursday, a new episode of Sin. Shout out to all of the Idiotverse. And reminder, hang out with us again this coming Thursday. So we will see you Thursday.
Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram.
Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.